Now, I want to talk about an example of why use Iceberg with Snowflake. Like, what is one of the use cases for doing this? And this is something that everyone comes to us asking about cost savings. So let's look at an example here. So we start with a data source, and this is an example with the current model with Snowflake. We bring our data into Snowflake through ingestion, and the data lives in that Snowflake format. We'll perform some transformations to clean up the data. And then you transform that data again to make those model tables that your BI analysts are going to go look at. Lastly, they'll go query the data in Snowflake. So this is how we do it today. But with Apache Iceberg, we get more flexibility in this architecture. So imagine instead of data living in Snowflake all along the way, it can actually live in an open table format on your own storage bucket. So when you ingest data, it lives in that open format. And while you transform it, it does. And then you just use Snowflake to do those queries at the end. So your BI analyst gets that same experience, but under the hood, you could be saving a ton of money in this pipeline because Snowflake compute is expensive and sometimes can be overkill for some of these ingestion and transformation workloads, where you might be able to instead bring another engine like Spark, for instance, to do those transformations cheaper, and then just pay the Snowflake compute bill at query time. So I'll pause here. If anyone wants to take a screenshot, take it now. In case this slide's useful. I'll also try to send these out after the presentation. Now I want to give a second example. So this is using multiple query engines. So let's say you have your data in Iceberg Data Lake and you want to use it for various different use cases. Instead of copying the data into multiple systems, you can just query directly on one copy of the files. So we have our Snowflake, of course, for our BI dashboards. But then maybe we want to bring DuckDB for some local data science experiments just on a data scientist laptop. And then maybe we want to bring Databricks to do some RAG and some AI workloads that they're really good for, or use MLflow with Databricks. And then Star Rocks. Let's say we have some user-facing reports that need very fast query times, maybe some in-memory processing. Star Rocks can really excel here and give that, and it could be quite cost-effective as well. So this is not just kind of theory. This is something that we're actually seeing across the ecosystem. We see here that almost half of the users who are on Snowflake are also using Databricks and vice versa. And this is just growing over time. And the reason is each of these platforms have their own strengths and weaknesses, where we see in Snowflake is really great at data management, whereas Databricks is really good with data science workloads. And people want to be able to mix and match to the strengths and not have to copy data between them, but rather just query on the same copy of data, which lives in Iceberg or another table format.